welcome to the Jayda InStitches show. Today on the show, I thought we'd have a little more fun with some pom-poms and make ourselves a little pom-pom chick. It's spring, and what's a cuter representation of spring than a little fluffy yellow chick? This chick's made using 3 pom-poms, and I'm going to show you how to crochet his cute little legs. So let's grab our pom-pom makers, a crochet hook, a whole bunch of yellow and orange yarn, and spread our little wings and flap our way over to the craft table. In order to make today's chick, you're going to need a small amount of orange yarn in order to crochet his 2 feet. And I've used a 4.25 millimeter hook or a G6 to go with it. You're going to want a yarn needle to weave in your ends and a small pair of scissors to do any extra snipping you may need to do. You're going to want 1 large yellow pom-pom, and I've used my extra large pom-pom maker for that. And you're going to want 2 small yellow pom-poms, and I've used my smallest pom-pom maker for that. You're going to want a couple of beads or buttons for the eyes. I've just got a couple of small black ones here from a thrifted necklace. You're going to want a glue gun, and in order to make his beak, you're going to want a little triangle of either orange felt or orange fleece, something that doesn't fray on the end. So felt is really good for this. That is the size of the triangle, so it's the tip of your finger to about your second knuckle there. And it needs to be a little bit longer than it is across the bottom. So as long as you've got a triangle that looks something like that, plus all these other little goodies, we can get started on making our chick. We're going to start by making his little feet. So it's his little 3-toed foot and his leg. So you're going to grab your yarn. I'm using a worsted weight acrylic here. We're going to make a slip knot to start. And we're going to begin with his toes. So we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip the first stitch or the first chain from your hook and slip stitch into the second chain from the hook and slip stitch into each of the next 3. So you're going to have 4 slip stitches in total. And that is toe number 1. Toe number 2, we're going to chain 4. So there's your 4 chains. Same thing, skip the first chain from your hook, slip stitch into the second, and the third, and the fourth. Sometimes it's a little tight, so take your time. And in order to finish the toe, you're going to work a slip stitch into the very first chain you started toe number 1 with. So this one that's going to start looking a little large here in the middle, and you can tell which chain it is by the knot that's sort of hanging off the back of it. So you're also going to slip stitch into that. So that's toes 1 and 2. Let's make number 3. Chain 4. Skip the first chain from the hook, so that one there. Slip stitch into the second one, the third one, the fourth one, and again back into that very first one. It's got the little open hole there. So there's his 3 toes, and now we need to make his leg. So you should have something that looks like this. There's his 3 toes. Now we're going to make his leg. So now you're going to chain 9. So there's your 3 toes, your chain of 9. Skip the first chain from the hook, slip stitch into the second, and in each chain all the way back to that first chain. It's the one that looks like a larger hole now. Okay, so that's 8 slip stitches because you skipped the first chain, and the last one you're going to work is that big hole that's sort of opened up there. It's the first chain you ever created. There you go. That's it. Grab your scissors You don't need very much tail, so just snip a small amount. And I like to reach my hook through that hole and grab the tail and pull it back through the loop that's still on my hook, all the way. Give it a nice tight tug, and then sort of tuck it back through the center of his foot. So just grab it, pull it all the way back. So I'm pulling everything to the back, and then I'm going to grab my yarn needle, and I'm going to weave in my tails just by picking up the backs of some of the slip stitches and just sort of pulling the short tails one way or all the way up the leg. Just so it looks like here's your top and here's your bottom. So basically you can't tell where you've sort of pulled in your little tails. If you have a little bit left over, just snip it off. So you can go ahead, weave in your tails, and make foot number 2. Alright, we're going to put his little legs to the side, and we're going to start with his face. So you're going to want to grab your triangle of felt in your 2 eyes and your big pom-pom. So we're going to start with the face because we want to sort of build the rest of the chick off of the face. So we're going to make a little crater by splitting all of the fibers. Get them all separated there so that you've got a space to work in. Doesn't matter, just pick any side. Grab your nose, and what you're going to do is you're going to fold the 2 ends sort of the shorter bottom. So if you look at your triangle like this, you're going to fold both of these little corners in to touch each other. And the way we do that is by putting a little bit of glue right at the bottom. And very carefully, try not to burn yourself, fold in those little corners until they stick. And it doesn't matter if this is messy at the end because it's going to all disappear into the chick anyway. So then you're going to have something that looks a bit like that. Then grab your glue again, add a little more glue to the bottom, pick up your pom-pom and just stick it right in the bottom there. And then you can just bring all of your fibers back out. Oh, my thumb's stuck. Watch that glue, it's hot. And once it's in there, you can just pull all your fibers back out so that all you get is sort of the little tail end of the nose that sticks out. Good. All right. And I'm going to stick the eyeballs in on top, right on top of the beak, so that it looks something like that, because I want his little face to be tiny right in the middle of this giant poof. So as soon as that's dry and you don't have any hot glue sort of sticking out anymore, then you can, now if you've got tweezers, that might be helpful, especially if you're dealing with small little beads. Just apply a little tiny bit of glue to the very end of your bead. Stick it down on top of your beak and do number 2. There. Now, if you like I've done with this one, you can trim some of the little bits of fluff back just so you can see his face. So once your glue has dried, you can grab your scissors and just give him a bit of a haircut around his eyes, just so, and maybe around his beak, just so it doesn't completely, the little fibers don't completely eclipse his face. And you can always see him. Don't cut him too short. There we go. And there's his face. So now we can put in his wings. And this is why I say it's good to start with the face, because now you can tell exactly where you want the wings to go. So I'm going to stick my fingers in on either side of his face. And right where my fingers went, I'm going to do that little sort of trick where you spread back the fibers. And I'm going to do both sides at the same time. So you bend back the fibers. I'm going to sit them down. And that looks good to me. I think that's pretty even. Grab my two smaller pom-poms. Going to apply a generous amount of glue to one side here. So I don't want this to come back out. There we go. And turn pom-pom number 1 into side number 1. And then I do number 2. There. You can sort of squish them in there. And then once your glue's dried, you can fluff them back out. And that's what gives them that little tiny little wing effect. Now all that's left are his legs. So on chickie number 1 here, I worked them into the fibers just sort of below his face. So they're kind of coming out on an angle. And I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to look at his face, tip him up just a little bit, and then drill my thumbs in right where I think I want those two little legs to go. Is that even? Yeah. So you make 2 little indents. That looks fairly even. Put them down on his back. And glue in your legs. So there's number 1. I'm just going to squeeze the fluff down around that. Alright. Make sure it's had a chance to dry, so don't go playing with it until it's all completely dried. But there you go. That's all there is to making your pom-pom chick. I hope you had fun making this little chick with me today. I think a regular dozen would look super cute, wouldn't you? Anyway, that's it for this week, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have pictures you want to share with me, make sure you tag me at Jayda InStitches on either Google Plus or Instagram, or you can send me your pins on Pinterest, and I'm still at Jayda InStitches in all 3 locations. We will see you again next week for more fun and wooliness on the Jayda InStitches show. Take care, everybody. Stay safe and have an awesome week. Bye!